I'm the pastor at Mountain View Fellowship Church over on 35th and Obsidian. I was with you about this time, I think, last year as well, to talk about a safe parking initiative. And I'm glad to have Sarah Hopper with me as well. And Sarah's our program director and does a lot of the hands-on work with the folks we're serving, and there's a lot to it. Sarah does that really well. I'm also really grateful. I didn't know that Melissa was going to be here, and Every Child. It's a great organization. I'm glad you support it. If you come to our church on a Sunday morning, you'll hear us talk about Every Child every Sunday. Roland could acknowledge I'm not lying about that. If you came to our church, I would say, really glad you came. Welcome to Mountain View Fellowship. If you fill out, we have a Connect card, which is, you fill out your name and your email, and we'll send you information about ourselves. But if you do that at our church, we have a gift for you. Actually, it's going to be a gift from you of $10. We're going to donate $10 in your name to a local organization because we want to be externally focused, even as we think God is doing internal work in us. And so that $10 every Sunday, somebody fills out a connection card, goes to Every Child. And so, I don't know, now I'm plugging my own church, but if you ever want to come to church on Sunday and fill out a connection card, we'll send another $10 to
There
Every
we
Child.
go.
So.
And I know this isn't our moment, but
Yeah.
just a quick announcement. Mountain View Fellowship and Journey Church in Redmond are partnering to bring Foster Parent Night out to Redmond, which is once a month respite for Redmond foster families, starting in, we believe, November through June. So it's going to be a great opportunity for kids to be together, families to have a break, and
There's a volunteer opportunity with that.
there's a
if you want to
volunteer opportunity with that. We're needing a few more volunteers in Redmond. So anyways, again, this wasn't about us, but here we are.
Yeah, and Melissa just agreed personally to open 3 new safe parking sites. Right? No, that's not true.
I do give it some publicity.
Well, I'm grateful to be here, and I'm going to assume there are some folks in here who don't know what safe parking is, even though I know many of you do know. So I'll repeat a little bit of information. Safe parking is a pretty simple operation to help people who are living in their cars or perhaps in an RV find a safe and legal place to be, while we work with them and provide case management services to help them move toward greater stability, to move toward a more stable housing environment. And so we work with folks on a temporary basis. It's not a landing spot. We're not an RV park. But for 90 days at a time, we work with individuals, families in a vehicle to move them to stability. And I want to show you a little 5-minute video. This is actually produced by our partners over in Salem who've been operating this program a little bit longer, 3 years now. And they put together this little 5-minute video that I think encapsulates so well the stories that we hear, the kind of folks that we work with. And there is a test at the end of this video. I want to hear from you. What do you hear in their stories? They describe it. What do you hear that stands out to you? So it's not a difficult test, but I do want to hear from you. So this is about 5 minutes.
Basically, we had a home for a very long time, and I got sick first with chronic lymphocytic leukemia and had to stop working. And Bruce supported us for about a year and a half, I think it was. And then his COPD got the better of him, and he couldn't work any longer either.
Yeah, after we found out we were going to lose our house, we bought a motorhome. Not that we had a lot of funds, but we still managed to buy a motorhome and live in it. When the day came that we moved, I had no idea what we were going to do, where we were going to park or anything like that.
First place we parked was Cascade Gateway.
Then we heard that Church in the Park was giving away lunch boxes and stuff like that. So they go, hey, you can drive over there and check it out if you want. And so we finally did and got in the program over there of safe parking.
We were able to park there, get food there, have support, with you connecting us with programs that might eventually get us housing, which, we're still waiting for.
Then the safe parking at churches popped up, or just safe parking at huge parking lots where somebody owned the property and didn't mind RV parking on their property. So that's how we actually got involved in the whole program, and we were grateful when that started. But yeah, we appreciated that completely. because we didn't know what we were doing, basically living in an RV. Never had that experience before, and it's pretty tough when you're living on the street. And now we're here at this New Hope Church, and we can plan our day. We don't have to move our trailer. We don't have to worry about vandalism or violence or anything like that, which was our big issue when we were parked on the street.
Knowing that you're not going to have to get up and move in 4 hours or get that knock on the door in the middle of the night telling you to vacate the premises, you sleep better. Also, being parked in, like here, where we get to stay 24/7, saves a lot of money on gas, not having to run the motorhome at 4 miles a gallon, which provides us with more food and other amenities, clothing. You don't feel like you need to lock yourself away in the RV, close all the curtains, and hope nobody sees you. You hide away.
Up until we got to the safe parking, we were kind of looked down on by everybody around us.
So therefore, having a place to park allows us to feel more human and not quite like,
Don't have to lock yourself away.
ashamed.
Yeah.
That you're in an RV and, trying to find somewhere to be. The parking at the church versus parking on the street or parking at Winco gives a person a little more of that humanity back. Being in a church atmosphere, brings a little more back to you, that you don't have just being out parked somewhere on the street. So it's nice also being able to get in touch with God in a sense again too.
Thank you for offering that picture into what it is to live out of a vehicle and what it means just to have a safe place where you feel secure. I think it is beautiful and encouraging to me to listen to you two talk about just a safe environment allows you to be in relationship with the world around you in a way that makes you feel like yourself, in a way that makes you feel human, in a way that allows you to believe and then begin pursuing that a better, more stable life is even possible to you. So thanks for sharing that and letting us into your experiences.
My helping hand used to bother me, not so much anymore. But everything changes. And for a good way, so.
What did you hear in their story that stood out to you?
Dignity,
Yeah.
humanity,
Yeah.
security.
Security. Yeah. I don't know if you realize this, but for folks who are living in a vehicle, that's usually all their worldly possessions are right there in that vehicle. And if they leave that somewhere, it's pretty open and exposed. We operated the cooling center. We helped out with Shepherd's House this year. They operated at their new facility. Last year we hosted it at our church building. Remember the 115-degree temperatures week? And we had a number of people come in, but the number one reason we heard from people living on the street, the number one reason they did not come to the cooling center was because they worried if they left their vehicle that all their possessions would be gone when they got back. And so folks don't go to medical appointments, they don't go to job interviews, they don't follow up with a service provider, often because of that security concern. Yeah. What else did you hear in their story? Yeah.
Normalcy. I mean, it could have been my parents or any of us if the capitalistic rental and housing market happened to us like it happened to them.
Yeah, I would say a third to a half of the people in our program that have come through now are working. If we add in folks who are clearly into retirement years, that would put us well over half. And I don't know. If you wanted to go rent an apartment in Redmond right now, you need to find a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom apartment, what would you pay?
$2,500.
$2,500?
No, sorry, not that much.
What do you think it would be?
For a 1-bedroom?
Yeah, 1-bedroom,
Oh,
2-bedroom.
well, probably, well, depends what they got me. Sorry.
She's a property manager.
Yeah,
So what
So
would
you
it be?
know-
1 to 1,500 for a 1-bedroom.
$1,000 to $1,500.
Yeah, if you're in one of those nice apartment complexes.
1,000 to 1,500.
And you're a property manager.
Yeah. Probably 14 to 1,800 for each bedroom.
Yeah, I pulled this from Zillow in mid-August. If you went back to Zillow today and checked, the only thing that would be different is there would be fewer. It's less. And I know the new apartments that are next to our church start at about 1,800.
Those are the brand new ones, yeah.
Yeah.
And then how much?
And there's just, can you find one? And let's say you can get a housing voucher. Let's say you can get on a housing list and you work with Thrive or work with Housing Works and you get yourself a housing voucher. That doesn't mean a whole lot unless you can go and spend that voucher somewhere on a housing unit. And so Bolton reported last April, only 40% of the people who are receiving those vouchers can actually go and then find a unit. Availability. We all know, I have to tell you that availability of affordable housing is a real bottleneck for our community, for employers, for citizens.
Well, the fear is what's going to happen in the course of the year with the increase of
Yeah.
the 14.6. So
Yeah.
that's just going to leave more people that could be houseless. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if, oh.
Well, I was just going to say, I have been very impressed with Neighbor Impact. I'm sure that you refer people to them.
Yep.
There's been a lot of rental assistance
Yeah.
and rent relief out there
Yeah.
that I've been really impressed with, Deschutes County and Oregon.
Yeah. Yeah. So safe parking, what do? Well, for a number of reasons, people find themselves living in a vehicle. Singles, sometimes couples. We have about 15 to 20 folks on a waiting list right now. A third of those have kids, part of their family unit. And so what we do is try to provide a place for them to be. Currently, we operate in 2 locations. We're at my church and have been for the last year. And we are at the VFW. And if you live on the east side of town, near where the Opportunity Foundation office is, then you probably just got a letter in your mailbox in the last day or two saying that we're working with the county on a piece of county-owned property, kind of on the edge, across the canal. It's like the boundary line between where residential ends and the industrial begins. And so we're starting a conversation with that neighborhood this week and next week to expand there. We provide some pretty basic services for folks. We provide, we don't do big, we do 2, 3, 4 vehicles at a time. City code says no more than 6. We don't do big camps. This is a very small and quietly operating program. This is a photo from Nativity Lutheran in Bend. And the only reason I'm using their parking lot and not mine is because mine's gravel and kind of ugly, and theirs looks kind of like a little pretty parking lot. But the backside of my parking lot looks something like that, a couple of RVs and a couple of vehicles. We provide garbage service at our expense. We provide porta potties. If folks are using their own RV toilets and showers and their own black water, then we make sure that they have an agreement to get that either dumped. Typically by the truck that comes in to empty the porta potty can also be contracted to empty black water tanks. So we make sure that there's safety and sanitation. We do background checks on folks. There's an intake process to make sure that they're a good fit for this program. It's not a free-for-all. You can't just show up. There are some real basic rules you're going to have to live with, like no open fires, campfires, barbecues. If you have a pet, they need to be on a leash. Drugs or alcohol, we don't permit use of drugs or alcohol on site. And if we see evidence that that's going on, we're going to step in and say something. Certainly if someone is doing something dangerous, which we have not yet seen, if somebody is doing something dangerous, we are free to exit someone from the program on site. It's not a landlord-tenant relationship that would therefore invoke all sorts of state rules around notifications and 60 days notice and all that kind of thing. We can trespass someone, in theory, on the spot. We've never had to do that. In the time that we've been operating this at our church for a year now, we've had 2 calls to local police department. Redmond PD knows where we operate. It's been a strong partner for us. Chief Lewis is out there promoting us all the time. I'm grateful for him. Our 2 calls, one was initiated by a client. It was a boyfriend-girlfriend. They had some kind of fight. One of them called. No one was arrested. No one went to jail. And they actually ended up breaking up, and they moved out of our program. They moved on. We were disappointed that that's how that ended, but that's how it ended for them. The other call was from us because we had a vehicle, our participants in the program let us know, hey, at night when your guys are gone, there's a car showing up here. We don't know who it is. We didn't know who it was either. So we called Redmond PD and said, hey, can you check this out? And sure, late at night, 10 o'clock, one of the officers went by and found a vehicle. A guy who works in the service industry in our community.
They gave him our card.
We gave him a card. We followed up with him, and when I met him in person, I said, so what do you need? What's going on here? Why are you parking here at night? And he said, well, I'm living out of my car. I'm working during the day. This was in the summer. This was in early August. And he said, at night, I need to be able to sleep in my car with my windows rolled down because it's too hot to leave them rolled up. And he'd been at Fred Meyer's in the parking lot, and he said, but I've had just enough people come up to my window while I'm asleep. And can you imagine that? You wake up in your car and there's someone standing, whether they're there for good intentions or ill intentions, that's a scary thing. And so we actually ended up later getting him into the program. And so it's just a very kind of quietly operating small program. We have the capacity to grow this up to 30 to 40 family units or individuals, or vehicles. We have the funding to do that. We've had a great year of community support from the city, from the county, from the Health Council, from Neighbor Impact. And this kicked off with $50,000 from the city a year ago. And we are now approaching about $600,000 in income. That gives us about a 2.5 to 3 year runway to operate this program. Most of that expense being reserved for the case manager to work with the clients to help them move towards stability. And so that's what we do. Sierra makes $200,000 a year.
You know anything about social work, you know that's not true.
She actually came to us from St. Charles as a social worker with St. Charles and actually took a pretty significant pay cut to actually work with us in this program, and we're grateful. But we have a capacity bottleneck, and for us that's identifying appropriate safe locations around the community. And that's where we're at. That's the thing that we're working on hardest at the moment. I expect there are questions, and I'd be glad to answer those. So, yes.
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah.
So, one, do you have a waiting list of people right now? And then two, do you foresee or do you have any partnership with the future Oasis Village happening?
Yeah. Yes. How many folks are on the waiting list right now?
About 20, yeah. I would say people and individuals. So if we were to say all families, it might be up to 30 because there's a few kids.
It's about 20 family units, 30 if you added up all the numbers. Oasis Village, we'll work very closely with Bob Bohack, James Cook, and we're very aware of their plans. We're talking with them on a regular basis. And so yeah. You have to think of each Oasis Village and safe parking as a continuum of housing, right? You've got living in the dirt in a tent, and you've got a 30-year mortgage on a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And we need, it's not binary. We need progressive steps. One of the folks who moved on from our program a couple weeks ago, you just want to speak to Becca quickly?
Yeah.
She came and where she went?
So she was in our program living in a Jeep and was there for about a month and a half, 2 months, I think is as long as she was with us. And then she got on a bunch of wait lists with Thrive, so utilizing another resource that we have here locally to get on some wait lists for housing, for low-income, affordable housing. And then I got her on some wait lists for some different shelters, Bethlehem Inn being one of them, and she was able to get into Bethlehem Inn within 2 months of being in our program. So the wait list is significant, it takes some time, but now she's in Bethlehem Inn, so like you said, continuum. So they might move, someone in an RV might move into an RV park. They might, someone in a car might move into a shelter. So it's just different for everybody and what their goals are, but yeah.
Yes.
For instance, the gentleman that was parking from 10 to 2 or 10 to 5 or whatever the number was, how long did it take for you to get him into the program or the program?
We got him in right away because we had availability.
As soon as we could get him, he was coming so stinking late at night and then leaving early in the morning before we got there. Once we got him, a week or two later, we had a spot for him.
Yeah.
Vehicles, folks living in a car or Jeep or an SUV, is a little easier than it just takes up less space.
And minimal resources, obviously.
How many families and children did you say are in your on your waiting list or in the program?
About 20 individuals and family units.
How many of those have kids?
3 or 4 of them have kids. So some of them reached out really early on, and since we are limited in our capabilities, what we can do right now, we haven't been able to monitor our wait list. So those people might have found housing by now, but we do have a wait list that was created from May, and those have families on them. That was kind of our first round of calls for families with little kids. I got one just a few weeks ago that was a family unit, a mom and a dad with 2 babies.
We have one single mom with a daughter in the program. And the mom is working, but because she needed to be able to pick her daughter up after school, she couldn't find appropriate care after school for her daughter. She had to reduce her work hours in order to pick up her daughter. Well, that doesn't feel like a step in the right direction. And so it's complicated. Yeah, John.
Rick, can you talk a little, when you came and presented at our church, very successful, very happy. I'm hoping we eventually get it set up at our, I know there's some hiccups right now, but hopefully we're working through those. But when you presented at our church, you brought a liaison from the city, showing support that the city was behind this. Can you talk a little bit about that relationship and what it's like now?
Yeah, so the relationship started with the city because it required a city ordinance to be passed, and the city council passed that unanimously. Surprised us by actually funding it with some of the ARPA dollars, familiar with that term. The city also has to issue a permit for every new site. So the city gets a final say on any new location. We are limited to Redmond city limits at the moment. The county is taking a look at this. The county has been a good partner. They're now looking at an ordinance for themselves. So Linda Klein, who was the housing policy analyst, was with us. She's with us a lot. And we have been doing probably 1 or 2, if not 3, site recruitment lunches at City Hall to bring in business owners, pastors, folks with parking lots. We're just good community advocates. And so the city's been a great partner for that. The city was looking at bringing city-owned property, and that did not go well for us. And so that made a lot of news because there was such fierce resistance from neighbors around 2 issues, really around notification and proper notification, and then just safety concerns. It's a frightening thing when it doesn't take long for the wildfire of social media for somebody to say, all the homeless folks in Redmond are going to be in a homeless camp in your backyard. And boy, news spread fast and resistance, and so misinformation spreads a lot faster than actual real information, and so it's really important for us to be here and to share this with you. And so we're working with the city now on making sure that the notification is kind of happening to their standards. And so, the county-owned piece of property out on 7th and Evergreen, we mailed out about 100 notifications to neighbors and landlords of that property, and we'll be inviting them to a town hall at our church to explain the program and answer questions. And we'll see. I'm sure there will still be some resistance and some real fear of what am I inviting to my property, or what's going to be in my neighborhood now.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm so glad to be here, and thank you for the opportunity to share. And we're going to be around, so if you've got more questions, we'd be glad to see you around.
Kind of a thank you gift for you guys. This is a Kiwanis pen. It's created by a local artist. He makes these for about
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
After 85 today is